Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to all of you. You're watching the channel that's completely dedicated to defense aspirants, especially those preparing for DSSC and TSOC. Whether you're appearing this year or planning ahead, you're in the right place. Because staying updated with the latest current affairs can make all the difference. Today, we're diving into current affairs for the month of June, Part 2. These questions are not just randomly picked, they're specifically curated keeping in mind the type of questions asked in higher-level military and competitive exams. So, if you're serious about scoring high, this is the kind of focused preparation you need. We all know that in exams like DSSC and TSOC, it's not just about reading news headlines, it's about understanding the context, connecting events, and remembering facts in a smart way. And that's exactly what we are going to help you with in this video. Also, before we begin, a quick reminder for all of you. If you want a soft copy of these current affairs, you can simply contact us on the number given below in the description. It's a great resource to revise and review at your own pace, and trust me, it'll save you a lot of time. So grab your notes, stay focused, and watch till the end. Let's begin with question number 1. Question number 1 states, Operation Keller demonstrates India's evolving counter-terror strategy rooted in real-time intelligence, joint operations, and precision targeting. In light of this statement, critically evaluate the significance of Operation Keller in India's internal security doctrine. Discuss its strategic, geographic, and psychological impact within the Kashmir region. To answer this, let's break this down step by step, and we'll use simple mnemonics to help you retain key points. 1. Strategic significance in India's internal security doctrine. Here we use the mnemonic JINTA to remember the 5 pillars of the operation's strategic value. J. Joint Operations Synergy. Operation Keller wasn't led by a single agency. It was a joint effort involving the Indian Army, Jammu and Kashmir Police, and the CRPF. This level of interagency coordination shows how India is strengthening its internal security by acting together, not in silos. I. Intelligence-led action. What sets this operation apart is that it was driven by real-time intelligence, especially from the Rashtriya Rifles. This is a big shift from waiting and reacting to preemptively striking based on solid intel. N. Neutralization of key targets. A major outcome was the killing of Shahid Kuttai, a top commander of the Resistance Front, TRF, which is a proxy of Lashkar-e-Taiba. Neutralizing him is a blow to Pakistan-sponsored terror networks and weakens their leadership structure. T. Targeted counter-terrorism. This wasn't a general combing operation. It was a specific retaliation targeting those responsible for the Pahalgam massacre. It showed India's will and capability to strike back swiftly and precisely. A. Asymmetry countered. Finally, by eliminating Pakistan's proxy warfare assets, Operation Keller helps balance out the asymmetry of low-cost terrorism funded from across the border. It's a clear message: terrorism won't go unanswered. 2. Geographic importance of the operation. Now let's talk about the location, and we'll use the mnemonic SPINE to remember it. S. Strategic terrain. The operation was conducted in Shopian, a highly sensitive district in South Kashmir that connects to volatile areas like Pulwama and Anantnag. Control here means control over the entire southern belt. P. Pir Panjal buffer. Shopian lies near the Pir Panjal range, which acts both as a natural defense and an infiltration route. Securing this area helps tighten grip on potential cross-border terrorist movement. I. Important trade corridor. The region lies close to the historic Mughal Road, which links the valley to the rest of India. Keeping it secure ensures that logistics and civilian trade continue smoothly, a must for local stability. N. Natural harsh conditions. The terrain is tough, with sub-zero temperatures and unpredictable weather. The success of the operation in such harsh conditions shows India's logistical strength and operational readiness. E. Economic stability assurance. Shopian is part of Kashmir's apple economy. By clearing threats from the area, The operation ensures that farmers can work, trade can flow, and livelihoods remain safe. 3. Psychological and societal impact in Kashmir. Let's now explore the emotional and social consequences using the mnemonic REST. R. Restoration of faith. Operations like this rebuild trust between local civilians and Indian forces. People start feeling safer and more supported by the state. E. Erosion of fear. When a top terrorist like Shahid Kuttai is eliminated, it shakes the morale of terror groups and reduces fear among the public who are under their shadow. S. Strong deterrent message. It sends a crystal clear message to terror handlers and new recruits. There is no safe place and India will respond. T. Terror ecosystem disruption. More than just killing one person. This operation disrupts communication, planning, and propaganda. It breaks the rhythm of groups like TRF, affecting the recruitment and coordination on the ground. Dosto, Operation Keller is more than just a counter-terror OP. It represents a modern, coordinated, and intelligence-led approach to dealing with terrorism in India. Strategically sharp, geographically crucial, and psychologically powerful. It's a textbook example of how India's internal security doctrine is evolving for the better. Now, moving ahead, and let's see question number 2. Which states the Integrated Air Command and Control System, IACS, has redefined India's aerial defense architecture by integrating multi-layered surveillance and response mechanisms. Discuss the operational significance of IACS in enhancing India's air defense readiness. How does its real-time data fusion and multi-sensor architecture contribute to deterrence and national security? Let's unpack this question carefully. We'll look at it in 3 parts, with simple mnemonics to help you understand and remember. 1. Operational significance of IACS in India's air defense. We use the mnemonic SHILD to remember how IACS strengthens India's air defense framework. S. Seamless integration. IACS brings together assets from the Air Force, Army, and Navy onto a single command and control platform. This means there's no delay, no confusion. Everyone operates with the same real-time picture. H. High-speed interception. Thanks to this integration, the time between detecting a threat and responding to it is drastically reduced. Whether it's a drone, aircraft, or missile, India can now launch fighters or air defense missiles in seconds. I. Instant threat tracking. Live tracking of aerial threats is a game changer. IACS can spot incoming threats early and adjust responses immediately, whether it's in peacetime or during skirmishes. E. Enhanced situational awareness. Commanders get a 360-degree view of the battle space, across borders, at altitude, and even inside India. This not only helps with planning, but also gives operational autonomy to units on the ground. L. Layered defense ready. From Manpads and Akash missiles to the advanced S-400 and Barak 8 systems, IACS coordinates with all layers of our air defense. This multi-tiered readiness ensures there's no single point of failure. D. Decentralized decision-making. One of the biggest strengths, local units don't need to wait for top-down orders. They can act instantly based on the threat. That kind of flexibility is vital in a real-world battlefield scenario. 2. Real-time data fusion and multi-sensor architecture. Here we use the mnemonic FUSED to understand how the system pulls everything together. F. Fused intelligence. IACS gathers inputs from ground-based radars, AWACS aircraft, satellites, and fighter jets all in one place. This helps eliminate blind spots, especially in sensitive regions like the western borders. U. Unified threat picture. Instead of scattered data from different agencies, IACS creates one real-time airspace view. This avoids duplication, overlaps, or confusion, which is critical during an emergency. S. Smart interception. Using AI and automation, the system can assign the right interceptor, whether it's a missile or a jet, based on the nature of the threat. This reduces human error and improves reaction speed. E. early warning advantage. Early detection means early action. Even a few seconds warning can change the outcome of an air battle. IMDEX offers that precious time to commanders and pilots alike. D. Dynamic control interface. Operators now use live digital maps, real-time feeds, and interactive control panels to manage threats. This speeds up weapon deployment and tactical decisions, which can be crucial in preventing damage. 3. Contribution to deterrence and national security. Now let's move to the big picture, how IMDEX contributes to deterrence and national defense. Use the mnemonic DEFEND to remember. D. Deterrence by detection. When adversaries know that any airspace violation will be instantly detected, it discourages them from trying. That's deterrence in action. E. Escalation prevention. Quick and accurate responses prevent accidental violations or small-scale incidents from escalating into full-blown conflicts. F. Force multiplication. With IMDEX, India can maximize the effectiveness of existing systems without needing massive new deployments. It makes every radar, missile, and pilot more effective. E. Enhanced confidence. Civilians and military personnel alike feel more secure, knowing the skies are constantly monitored and protected. That kind of morale boost is strategic in itself. N. National command integration. Top-level decision-makers and theater commanders are now connected in real time. That helps with faster coordination at the highest levels of government and military. D. Dynamic posture. IMDEX keeps India in a 24/7 all-weather state of readiness. In a high-threat environment like South Asia, that's not just an advantage, it's essential. The IMDEX isn't just a network, it's the nerve center of India's air defense. It brings together real-time intelligence, speed, coordination, and decision-making power into a single, integrated system. In short, it's a shield, smart, strategic, and always alert. Dosto, let's move ahead with question number 3, which states, despite decades of counterinsurgency efforts, India's Maoist-affected regions continue to pose complex security and developmental challenges. In light of Operation Black Forest, critically examine the strategic, geographical, and socio-political dimensions of left-wing extremism (LWE) in India. What measures are necessary to ensure sustained peace, effective governance, and tribal welfare in insurgency-hit regions? Dosto, this is a multi-layered question, and rightly so. LWE isn't just a security problem, it's a deep-rooted social and governance challenge. Let's break it down into 4 major areas, each supported by an easy-to-remember mnemonic. 1. Strategic dimensions of LWE mnemonic A. Fiery. F. Fortress terrain advantage. LWE strongholds are often in dense forests and hilly areas like the Kuragutulu Hills. These act as natural fortresses ideal for guerrilla warfare, providing cover, mobility, and secrecy. I. Insurgent infrastructure. Maoists have a well-established network, underground bunkers, weapons caches, makeshift HQs, and even media cells. These aren't ragtag operations, they're strategic, mobile, and entrenched. R. Retaliatory violence risk. Whenever there's a crackdown, Maoists often retaliate, targeting civilians, police, or informants. This cycle of violence makes security operations risky and sensitive. E. Elimination strategy. Operation Black Forest is India's latest offensive, aiming to decapitate top leadership and reclaim red zones by 2026. It's part of a calibrated, long-term anti-LWE strategy. 2. Geographical dimensions, mnemonic HILLS. H. Harsh terrain. Places like the Karregutta Hills are not just remote, they're steep, forested, and hard to access. This makes both movement and surveillance challenging. I. Invisibility of insurgents. The thick foliage and altitude reduce visibility, allowing Maoist cadre to move undetected, hide weapon stockpiles, or set ambushes. L. Location of conflict. Most conflicts occur along the Chhattisgarh-Telangana border, especially in districts like Sukma, Malkangiri, and Gadchiroli, all key LWE hotspots. L. Limited state penetration. Lack of roads, telecom, and admin presence makes it easier for Maoists to operate and harder for the state to deliver governance. S. Settlements of tribes. Tribal communities like Koya, Gond, and Chenchu are often caught in the crossfire. They face a tragic dilemma. Either side they support could lead to retaliation from the other. 3. Socio-political dimensions. Mnemonic, NEGLECT. N. Neglected governance. Many of these areas lack basic services, healthcare, education, electricity, and clean water. This breeds long-term resentment. E. Exploitation of grievances. Maoists tap into real tribal grievances, from land alienation to displacement and loss of forest rights, to justify their ideology. G. Gap in trust. Years of broken promises and security excesses have created a deep trust deficit between TR1BILIS and the state. L. Lack of economic alternatives. People here often depend on forest produce or shifting agriculture, with no stable income or jobs, making Maoist propaganda more appealing. E. Exclusion from decision-making. Development projects often happen without consulting the very people they affect, especially in tribal zones. C. Coercion by both sides. Unfortunately, TR1BILIS are often coerced by Maoists for support and simultaneously suspected or targeted by state forces. T. Tribal identity crisis. Tribal communities feel like outsiders in their own land, with cultural erosion and development that feels more like aggression than inclusion. 4. Measures for peace, governance, and tribal welfare. Mnemonic, HRMONY. H. Holistic development plans. Don't just send in forces. Send in roads, telecom, schools, health centers, and clean water projects. Development is the real game changer. A. Administrative deepening. Appoint more district officials, open mobile governance camps, and ensure grievance redressal at the grassroots level. R. Rights-based approach. Implement laws like the Forest Rights Act, FRA, and PSA in full spirit, giving communities legal ownership of their land. M. Militarily strategic, but civilian sensitive. Use intelligence-led, low-footprint operations. Avoid collateral damage and minimize tribal alienation at all costs. O. Opportunities for youth. Establish vocational training centers, hostels, and entrepreneurship hubs, especially tailored for tribal youth. N. Negotiated surrenders. Encourage safe surrenders with rehabilitation packages, legal help, and pathways to rejoin society with dignity. Y. Year-round tribal engagement. Go beyond development. Celebrate tribal culture, protect languages, and hold festivals, sports events, and dialogues that build trust. Dosto, to conclude, we can say that Operation Black Forest is a crucial move, but India can't just fight left-wing extremism with guns. It needs a strategy that balances security with sensitivity, law enforcement with land rights, and force with fairness. Only then can we truly bring harmony to the red corridors. If you're finding this video useful, dosto, please do like, share this video. Now let's moving ahead to next question. Question number 4. Which states, with the rising threat of unmanned aerial systems, UAS, traditional air defense mechanisms are being redefined? In this context, critically assess the significance of India's indigenous Bhargavastra counter-drone system in addressing asymmetric aerial threats. What challenges remain in deploying such technologies at scale? And how can India balance innovation, cost efficiency, and strategic doctrines in modern warfare? Let's begin by setting the context. Today, drones are no longer just surveillance tools, they are precision strike weapons. Low cost, agile, and hard to detect, swarm drones can cripple radars, overwhelm air defenses, or sabotage critical infrastructure. So how does India respond to this asymmetric aerial threat? That's where Bhargavastra, India's indigenous counter-drone system, enters the picture. Let's examine its strategic significance first. 1. Significance of Bhargavastra, mnemonic, DARTS. D. Detection range advantage. It can detect drones from over 6 kilometers away, giving early warning and time for engagement critical in low-altitude, high-speed attacks. A. Asymmetric warfare ready. It's designed to tackle low-cost, high-risk threats like kamikaze drones and quadcopters, common tools in asymmetric, non-conventional warfare. R. Rapid salvo response. In high-stake scenarios, every second counts. Bhargavastra can fire to rockets in just seconds, intercepting multiple drones before they reach their targets. T. Terrain flexibility. It's not limited to plains or controlled zones. Bhargavastra works even in high-altitude or rugged terrain, making it suitable for diverse operational theaters like Ladakh or the Northeast. S. Swarm killer capability. Perhaps its most critical feature, the ability to launch 64 micromissiles at once, neutralizing entire drone swarms, not just isolated units. That's a game changer. 2. Challenges in large-scale deployment, mnemonic, SCALE. S. Scalability issues. Mass production of such systems is easier said than done. Scaling up without losing reliability or precision is a key concern. C. Cost versus capability dilemma. Bhargavastra is relatively low cost, but keeping thousands of units combat-ready year-round requires sustained investment in both hardware and human capital. A. Adoption lag. Each branch of the armed forces has different operational doctrines. Coordinated adoption across Army, Navy, and Air Force could be slow and bureaucratic. L. Logistics and training. Deploying in difficult terrains demands well-trained personnel, spare parts, and rapid repair systems, a logistical challenge for wide deployment. E. Electronic countermeasures. Advanced drones can jam signals or spoof targets, which means Bhargavastra must constantly evolve to stay ahead of enemy tech. 3. Balancing innovation, cost efficiency, and strategic doctrines, mnemonic, ICEBAL. I. Indigenous push. This is a perfect example of Make in India in action. Encouraging public-private partnerships in defense will boost innovation and reduce reliance on imports. C. Cost-effective prototyping. Bhargavastra's modular design allows for easy upgrades without overhauling the entire system, which is vital for long-term sustainability. E. Export opportunities. Several nations facing similar drone threats may be potential buyers. Export revenues can fund R&D and help India emerge as a global drone defense hub. B. Battlefield integration. To be truly effective, Bhargavastra must be networked with radars, satellites, and command centers for instant data relay and response. A. AI-driven enhancement. In the future, integrating AI and machine learning will allow for auto-tracking, threat prioritization, and even autonomous interception. L. Layered defense strategy. No single system is enough. Bhargavastra must work alongside electronic jamming, traditional SAMs, and air defense radars as part of a multi-tiered defense architecture. Dosto, as drone warfare redefines the battlefield, India's Bhargavastra system represents a bold leap into next-gen defense. But technology alone won't win the war. It must be backed by strategy, scalability, and systems thinking. To truly counter the drone threat, India must aim for ISBL, innovation that's cost-effective, export-ready, battlefield integrated, AI-driven, and part of a layered response. Now, let's move ahead to question number 5, which states, India's three-pillar doctrine marks a decisive shift from strategic restraint to assertive retaliation in its national security policy. Critically evaluate the doctrinal shift in India's counterterrorism approach. How does it reshape India's response to cross-border threats while balancing doctrines, international law, and regional stability? To answer this, let's begin by understanding what this doctrinal shift really means. For decades, India followed a policy of strategic restraint, relying more on diplomacy and less on direct military response, even in the face of grave provocations. But events like the Uri attack in 2016 and Pulwama in 2019 catalyzed a transformation. India's new three-pillar doctrine represents a move from wait and warn to detect and deter, from silence to swift retaliation. 1. Doctrinal shift, mnemonic, SHIFT. S. Strategic assertiveness. India now responds with decisive force, evident in the surgical strikes and Balakot airstrikes. Restraint has given way to a clear message of retaliation. H. Hybrid response. India now integrates military action with diplomacy and economic pressure, like revoking MFN status or pushing international isolation for sponsors of terrorism. I. India's autonomy asserted. The choice of when, where, and how to retaliate rests with New Delhi alone. India is no longer waiting for international permission to act in self-defense. F. Full spectrum targeting. This doctrine blurs the line between non-state actors and their state sponsors. If you harbor terrorists, you're part of the target package. T. Terrorism is equal to total red line. India now treats any terror attack as a breach of sovereignty, demanding proportional or escalated response, even in the shadow of nuclear doctrines. 2. Reshaping India's cross-border response, mnemonic, RESET. R. Rapid retaliation. Gone are the days of delayed diplomatic demarches. India now carries out swift military responses, often within hours or days. E. Escalation control. Despite being assertive, India has shown restraint to avoid full-scale war, calibrating strikes to punish without provoking uncontrollable escalation. S. Strategic signaling. The new posture sends a clear message. India will no longer absorb attacks silently. That strengthens doctrines and changes how adversaries calculate risk. E. Enhanced doctrines. The doctrine raises the cost of cross-border misadventures, especially for proxy wars and cover terror OPS. T. Tactical innovation. India's responses now include covered OPS, cyber measures, drone strikes, and precision targeting, leveraging technology and unpredictability. 3. Balancing doctrines, international law, and regional stability, mnemonic, LAW. L. Legal legitimacy. India frames all retaliatory actions under Article 51 of the UN Charter, the right to self-defense, maintaining legitimacy in global forums. A. Assertive yet accountable. Even when retaliating, India avoids civilian and non-military targets, which reinforces its moral and legal high ground in the international community. W. Win regional trust. India accompanies military assertiveness with diplomatic outreach, ensuring that neighbors and partners don't misread intentions, helping maintain regional equilibrium. Dosto, the three-pillar doctrine is not just about muscular military moves. It represents a strategic, calibrated, and credible counterterrorism architecture that blends power with restraint, legality with doctrines, and domestic confidence with global messaging. By mastering the shift, reset, and law framework, India not only strengthens its national security, but also positions itself as a responsible yet resolute power in an increasingly volatile neighborhood. Let's move to question number 6, which states, with increasing hybrid threats and urban vulnerabilities, civil defense preparedness has gained renewed importance. In this context, critically assess the role of exercises like Operation Abhyaas in enhancing India's internal security architecture and societal resilience. Let's dive into this topic by first understanding why civil defense has become so vital in today's threat environment. 1. Importance of civil defense in the era of hybrid threats. Mnemonic, HURT. H. Hybrid threats rising. Today, we face not just conventional warfare, but cyber attacks, disinformation campaigns, terror strikes, and natural disasters, all at once. These overlapping threats demand a civil defense system that's fast, flexible, and forward-looking. Urban vulnerabilities. India's cities are densely populated and increasingly interconnected. One cyber attack or blackout can trigger panic, paralysis, and breakdown of public services. R. Resource coordination needs. Dealing with a hybrid crisis requires multiple agencies: police, NDRF, fire departments, municipal bodies, to work in perfect harmony. T. Trust in preparedness. Most importantly, visible readiness builds public confidence. When people see systems in place, they panic less and cooperate more. 2. Role of Operation Abhyaas in strengthening internal security. Mnemonic DRIL. D. Disaster simulation. Operation Abhyaas conducts live drills that simulate everything from terror attacks to floods and chemical leaks. It's not just theory, it's practice under pressure. R. Response testing. It measures how well our police, disaster response teams, medical personnel, and civil defense units react when every second counts. I. Interagency coordination. These exercises highlight the importance of seamless teamwork, breaking silos between departments and enabling quicker decisions. L. Localized focus. Operation Abhyaas is customized to the region. What works in Delhi may differ from what's needed in Guwahati or Mumbai. L. Learning from gaps. It helps identify what's missing: equipment shortages, communication failures, or coordination lapses, so they can be fixed before a real crisis. 3. Societal resilience through Operation Abhyaas. Mnemonic AWARE. A. Awareness creation. Through community outreach, it teaches citizens what to do during blackouts, fires, or building collapses. Simple steps can save lives. W. Warlike preparedness. The operation simulates warlike stress, sirens, smoke, fake casualties, to train people to stay calm and act fast. A. Active participation. It's not just for officials. NCC cadets, railway staff, school children, and local volunteers also take part. This makes defense everyone's business. R. Rapid mobilization practice. Involves practice drills where people evacuate, assist, or take shelter, boosting community readiness. E. Empowered citizens. An aware and trained citizenry is a force multiplier. When communities are confident, the burden on formal systems reduces during real emergencies. 4. Critical assessment, strengths and challenges. Mnemonic CARES. C. Comprehensive approach. Operation Abhyaas covers a broad range of threats, from natural calamities to terror strikes, making it highly versatile. A. Awareness boosting. It raises public awareness effectively, but one-time drills aren't enough. Without regular follow-ups, the impact fades. R. Resource utilization. It mobilizes a large number of agencies well, but success depends heavily on logistics, local budgets, and state capacity. E. Execution scale. In some cities, the exercise is meticulously planned and impactful, while in others, it may feel more symbolic than strategic. S. Sustainability question. The biggest concern? Consistency. One drill a year won't suffice. We need it to be integrated into urban planning, education, and governance frameworks. Dosto, Operation Abhyaas is not just a drill. It's a national signal that India understands modern threats and is preparing both state systems and citizens to respond with confidence and coordination. To truly secure our cities, we need to move from occasional readiness to institutional resilience, and that's the promise exercises like Abhyaas bring to the table. Moving on to question number 7, which states, the Bharat 6G vision seeks to transform India from a technology consumer to a global standard setter in telecommunications. Critically assess the strategic, economic, and technological implications of India's 6G roadmap. What challenges must be addressed to ensure its successful realization by 2030? Let's break this down into 4 key parts: strategic, economic, technological implications, and finally, the challenges and way forward. 1. Strategic implications. Mnemonic LEAD. L. Leadership in standards. India is moving from passive adoption to active participation in global standard making, especially within the ITU's IMT 2030 framework. E. Enhanced geopolitical weight. Owning telecom infrastructure gives India more strategic independence, especially in critical sectors like defense, cyber, and space. A. Atmanirbhar networks. A domestic 6G ecosystem will reduce reliance on foreign vendors, protecting us from supply chain disruptions or backdoors. D. Digital diplomacy tool. Just as UPI is now being exported, India can share 6G tools with global South allies, creating goodwill and influence. 2. Economic implications. Mnemonic GROW. G. GDP boost via tech-driven growth. 6G can revolutionize sectors like smart factories, remote surgery, AR/VR, AI, and even space internet, potentially adding billions to GDP. R&D ecosystem expansion. Government's push with 100 rupees crore labs and test beds fuels a startup culture, patent creation, and innovation ecosystem. O. Opportunities for exports. From hardware to algorithms, India-made 6G products could enter global markets. W. Workforce upskilling. A new economy needs a new workforce. 6G creates demand for engineers, AI experts, and telecom researchers. 3. Technological implications. Mnemonic FAST. F. Future-ready infrastructure. 6G will use terahertz and optical wireless, demanding a completely new infrastructure layer. A. AI-driven automation. Network functions will be AI-managed, predictive fault repair, dynamic bandwidth allocation, even self-healing networks. S. Smart applications enabled. Think holographic video calls, brain-computer interfaces, remote tactile surgeries. 6G enables it all. T. Terabit speeds plus ultra-low latency. 100x faster than 5G latency near 1 millisecond, which is crucial for autonomous vehicles and robotics. 4. Key challenges to 6G realization. Mnemonic HICKUPS. H. High cost of R&D. Terahertz and optical wireless tech are capital intensive. Public funding is crucial to de-risk early stages. I. Infrastructure gaps. Most rural areas still lack basic 4G, let alone 6G readiness. Digital divide must be addressed first. C. Cybersecurity threats. Hyperconnectivity makes critical infrastructure more vulnerable. India must prepare for zero-trust security frameworks. K. Knowledge deficit. There is shortage of skilled talent in advanced wireless, optics, and AI domains. U. Uncertain global standards. 6G norms are still being debated. Fragmentation could delay rollout or lead to interoperability issues. P. Private sector hesitancy. Return on investment is distant, which could discourage deep private participation. S. Spectrum scarcity. Terahertz bands are limited and expensive. India needs a long-term spectrum allocation policy. 5. Way forward, realizing Bharat 6G by 2030. Mnemonic BHARAT. B. Build test beds rapidly. Roll out Terahertz and optical test beds with PPP models to simulate real-world use cases. H. Harness Bharat 6G Alliance. Ensure tight coordination between industry, academia, and government through the Central Alliance. A. Align with global bodies. Stay active in ITU and forge alliances with EU, US, Japan, especially for joint research and interoperability. R. Rural inclusion. Design 6G solutions that are affordable, frugal, and rural-friendly, not just urban. A. Accelerate skilling. Launch a national 6G skill mission with IITs, and polytechnics. T. Tech diplomacy strategy. Position India's 6G as soft power, offering low-cost, secure, open-source alternatives for the Global South. Dosto, India's 6G journey is not just about speed, it's about sovereignty, standards, and strategy. If India can overcome current hiccups and maintain focus on R&D, rural inclusion, and global partnerships, it can truly lead the next global telecom revolution, not just follow it. Now, moving ahead to question number 8, which states, the G20's effectiveness in global governance is constrained by its exclusivity and informal structure. Critically evaluate the limitations of the G20 in addressing global challenges. Suggest reforms to enhance its inclusiveness, legitimacy, and impact in a multipolar world. 1. Limitations of G20 in tackling global challenges. Mnemonic, REDGAP. Let's unpack the red gap, the core flaws undermining the G20's role. R. Representation deficit. It's an exclusive club, just 19 countries, the EU, and recently the AU. Over 170 nations are left out, with no consistent say in decisions. It lacks an unstyled universal mandate, reducing its legitimacy. E. Exclusivity in decision-making. There's no permanent secretariat, so no institutional memory or policy continuity. The Troika system rotates annually, limiting accountability. Worse, G20 decisions are non-binding, big on rhetoric, weak on enforcement. D. Diverging priorities. A deep north-south divide exists. Rich nations talk climate tech. Poorer ones need food security, debt relief. Conflicting interests often stall progress. Voices of the Global South remain underrepresented or overlooked. G. Geopolitical rivalries. G20 is paralyzed by power politics as China friction, Russia-West standoffs. The agenda often gets hijacked by national interests, reducing cooperation. Key deliverables like pandemic response, debt reforms, or climate finance get derailed. A. Aid and finance gaps. Rich countries are cutting back on aid, ODA. Climate finance pledges remain unmet or vague. No systemic debt support exists for low-income or highly indebted nations. P. Participation imbalance. Regional voices like ASEAN, CARICOM, or the Arab League are mostly absent. The Global South is often invited ad hoc, with no clear consultation mechanism. G20 remains elite-driven, not truly global. 2. Reforms for a more inclusive and effective G20. Mnemonic, IMPSET. Here's how the G20 can generate real impact. I. Institutional strengthening. Set up a permanent G20 secretariat to track, monitor, and follow through. Create issue-specific working groups on digital economy, debt, climate action. Make the Troika more than ceremonial, task it with monitoring commitments. M. Multilateral representation. Launch regional consultative groups, RCGs, co-chaired by G20 and non-G20 states, similar to the FSB model. Institutionalize participation of regional blocs like the AU, ASEAN, GCC, etc. Create a mechanism for structured feedback from non-members. P. Participation expansion. Grant permanent observer status to key Global South nations. Introduce a rotating guest system, ensuring fairer representation over time. Host outreach summits with civil society, academia, and small states. A. Addressing global crisis. Create a G20 Green Development Fund for climate adaptation in vulnerable regions. Push for binding commitments on emissions and finance. Reform global debt architecture, including SDR redistribution and debt restructuring platforms. C. Combating inequality and hunger. Launch a global hunger and poverty alliance. Scale up school meals, nutrition, and cash transfers. Prioritize support for agriculture in food insecure regions. Encourage climate-resilient farming and sustainable supply chains. T. Transparency and legitimacy. Publish progress reports tracking implementation of G20 pledges. Define clear mandates, timelines, and measurable goals for each summit. Encourage open dialogues with civil society, think tanks, private players to democratize global governance. Dosto, the G20 holds enormous potential, but its exclusive nature, informal structure, and geopolitical divides dilute its impact. In a multipolar, interconnected world, legitimacy no longer comes from economic size alone. It comes from inclusion, transparency, and accountability. To be truly effective, the G20 must move from being a club of the powerful to becoming a platform for all, where solutions are co-created, not imposed. Now, let's move to the last and final question of this video. That is question number 9, which states, participation in platforms like IMDEX Asia enhances India's maritime diplomacy and strategic presence in the Indo-Pacific. In this context, examine the significance of India's naval outreach and discuss how indigenously built platforms like Kiltan contribute to national security and self-reliance. Let us understand it part-wise. 1. India's naval outreach. Projecting power with WAVES. W. Wider strategic presence. India's participation in IMDEX Asia showcases its maritime assertiveness in the Indo-Pacific, reinforces India's vision of a free, open, and inclusive maritime order in this vital region. A. Alliances and partnerships. IMDEX enables strategic naval dialogues with ASEAN, Quad, and Western Pacific partners. It fosters bilateral multilateral security arrangements, including info-sharing and interoperability. We voice in global forums. At events like the International Maritime Security Conference, India presents itself as a thought leader in maritime safety, piracy doctrines, and blue economy sustainability. E. Exercises and exchanges. Participating in maritime exercises like MARISCs helps India enhance operational coordination with regional navies, encourages tactical standardization and rapid crisis response readiness. S. Securing trade routes. India's naval diplomacy safeguards sea lines of communication, SLSEs, reinforces its image as a net security provider in the Indian Ocean region. 2. Kiltan, an indigenous warship with STEAL credentials. S. Stealth technology. Built with a carbon fiber superstructure, Kiltan has low radar visibility. Equipped for anti-submarine warfare, it enhances India's undersea defense. T. Technological self-reliance. Part of Project 28, Kamorta-class corvettes, designed and built in India, embodies Atmanirbhar Bharat, using over 80% indigenous components. E. Economic efficiency. Lighter build is equal to lower fuel costs and easier maintenance. Balances cutting-edge capability with budget-conscious design. A. Active legacy. Named after the 1971 war hero in Kiltan, P-79, symbolizes continuity, honor, and pride in India's naval history. L. Location advantage. Named after Kiltan Island, Lakshadweep, it reaffirms India's commitment to maritime border defense and island security. Strengthens naval coverage across the strategic archipelagos in the Arabian Sea. So, to conclude, we can say that platforms like IMDEX Asia allow India to transform its navy from a regional force to a strategic influencer in the Indo-Pacific. At the same time, ships like Kiltan showcase how indigenous innovation fuels operational capability, strategic autonomy, and national pride. Together, diplomacy and design anchor India's rise as a maritime power. So, dosto, finally we come to the end of this part. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to our channel. Stay tuned for more defense updates, strategy explainers, and exam-ready content. Till then, keep studying, keep growing. PDF alert. We've prepared a comprehensive PDF available in both soft and hard copy to boost your preparation. Contact the number shown in this video to get your copy today. Jai Hind, dosto. See you in the next video.